Hey guys, Sally, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So bearded dragons need a large variety of food to keep them healthy, and it can be really tough to navigate what kind of foods are good for them, what kind of foods are good in moderation, and what's bad. But there are a lot of foods that are absolutely toxic to bearded dragons and can even kill your bearded dragon. So let's go over 5 things that you should never ever feed your bearded dragon. Just a quick note, if your bearded dragon has ingested any of these items, please call your vet ASAP and keep a very close eye on them. So let's start off this list with onions. This will include any onion, red onion, yellow onion, white, green, as well as shallots and leeks, anything in the onion family. These things, raw or cooked, are extremely dangerous. For starters, they are pretty acidic, which is not good for lizards. Onions also contain thiophosphonates, which are poisonous compounds to lizards like bearded dragons. These toxins will cause severe harm to their liver and their kidneys. Garlic is also in the same genus as onions, so it's also safe to avoid garlic, just to be on the safe side. Alright, so now let's go on to number 2, which is any kind of toxic bug. I'm just going to go through a couple of toxic bugs, but before I say anything about this, you should never ever feed any lizard, really. Anything that's going to eat bugs, you should never feed them bugs from the wild. It might seem like it's a good money saver, but in reality, those insects could be ingesting toxic plants that your lizard shouldn't ingest, or things like poisons or other chemicals that will pass to your lizard, and so it's just not a good idea to feed them anything that isn't from a reputable source. So just make sure you are not feeding any of your animals that eat insects, wild-caught insects. That being said, let's talk about fireflies. Fireflies contain toxins called lusobuthagens. These are a defensive steroid that is produced by most species of fireflies. It's originally made to keep the firefly safe from predators, which obviously does a great job of, which is good for the firefly, not so good for your lizard. This toxin will affect your lizard's heart muscles and cause death. It also only takes one firefly to kill an adult bearded dragon, so just definitely don't mess around with this. They are not good for them. Other insects that are toxic to bearded dragons and you should not feed are box elder bugs and ladybugs. They're just simply toxic due to defense mechanisms similar to a firefly. They're not as harmful, but still avoid when you can. I would say that fireflies are the most toxic insect that your bearded dragon could get a hold of. So to prevent any of these insects from getting in your enclosure, just make sure that there's no openings they could get into. Just try to make sure that they can't enter your enclosure. Number 3 on this list is mushrooms. A lot of people get pretty surprised by mushrooms, but you absolutely should not, under any circumstance, feed your bearded dragon mushrooms. This does depend on the species of mushroom, but it's just a better bet to not feed your lizard any mushrooms. So to start out, most mushrooms have a very high phosphorus content. Again, this varies on species, but for example, portobello mushrooms have a calcium to phosphorus ratio of 1 to 16.3, and the perfect ratio of calcium to phosphorus is 2 to 1. Mushrooms also contain oxalic acid, also known as oxalates. This is bad because it will bind to any calcium you give your bearded dragons, preventing it from entering your lizard's bloodstream. The phosphorus and the oxalates over time will actually make it to where your bearded dragon just simply isn't absorbing enough calcium and will lead to metabolic bone disease. Metabolic bone disease is not curable. It will shorten their lifespan. There are tons of videos on that on this platform if you want to go check those out, but I'm not going to get too into it here. Again, the toxicity levels of mushrooms depend pretty heavily on the species of mushroom, but again, I just wouldn't even risk it, frankly. It's not worth your animal's well-being. Alright, so number 4 on this list is probably one of the most harmful on this list, and that is avocado, which is another one that kind of surprises people. However, avocado is actually toxic to most animals, but it is extremely lethal to bearded dragons. Avoid it at all costs. So the issue with avocado is that it contains persin. Persin is a fungicidal toxin that is poisonous to nearly all animals to some degree. It's mostly found in the skin and pit of the avocado, however, enough of it seeps into the actual flesh and meat of the fruit for it to be extremely toxic to bearded dragons. This can cause vomiting, diarrhea, respiratory failure, and death. There are some cases of bearded dragons recovering from this and being okay afterwards with that care, of course. However, they've been more known to die within hours of consumption of avocado. So it's obviously just best to completely avoid it and to keep it away from your bearded dragon. Mostly any animal. Don't feed like any animal avocado. It's not good for them. Alright, and lastly on this list, it might seem a little obvious, and this is going to be a super short point. I know these are all pretty short, but this one's going to be exceptionally short. Dairy products. I know that can seem pretty obvious, but some people like to give their animals cheese and yogurt and stuff. You should definitely avoid that with reptiles. There's a simple reason. They're just lactose intolerant. They do not produce the enzymes needed to break down any dairy product. So since they don't have the enzymes to break down dairy, this can cause severe diarrhea, which can cause severe dehydration. This can also cause kidney damage and damage to their digestive system. It just simply doesn't come natural to them. They don't lactate. They never have the need to drink any kind of milk or dairy, so of course it is just best that they don't have it at all. Alright, and with that, that is all I have for you guys this week. Give this video a like for the algorithm, comment down below if there are any other foods that you want me to go over. All of my links, including my Instagram link, my art account, my Facebook group, and my wife and I's Etsy shop will be in the description down below. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you are into this kind of content, or really any animal kind of content. I upload every single Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, but you can hit the bell if you don't want to remember that. And as always, I will see you guys next week. Bye.